It's new for you at 4:30. A legal showdown. The Elm City says it's ready to fight back against a federal lawsuit targeting New Haven and its mayor. The Trump administration claiming its sanctuary policies are impacting immigration enforcement.
Matt McFarland is your reporter covering New Haven County. He's joining us live outside right now at New Haven City Hall to break this all down for us. Matt?
Hi there, Karen. Brian. New Haven announcing its legal team today. They just filed their appearance over at federal court yesterday, and it includes some heavy hitters representing the city pro bono, doing this work for free. Mayor Justin Elicker in the Elm City now ready to defend itself against the Trump administration's lawsuit targeting New Haven's welcoming city executive order, in which city employees won't ask about a person's immigration status or collaborate with ICE unless there's an arrest warrant.
Our executive order does not prevent federal authorities from enforcing immigration law. Rather, it makes clear that we do not do the job of the federal government. Our employees, our police officers, have enough work to do.
The legal team includes Chris Maddy, a former federal prosecutor who tried former Governor John Rowland's corruption case, later representing Sandy Hook families in their defamation case against InfoWars host Alex Jones. There's also Professor Harold Koh, the former Yale Law School dean and New Haven native who currently heads up the school's Rule of Law Clinic. The U.S. Department of Justice filed the lawsuit earlier this month, going after New Haven and the state, saying it's part of an active and deliberate effort to obstruct federal immigration enforcement by, among other things, impeding the communication between federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies' officials and the safe apprehension and detention of unlawfully present aliens, something the city and its legal team says is simply not true.
The welcoming city ordinance is fully compliant with federal law by its own terms. What it does not do is allow the city to be conscripted, compelled to take action in service of the federal government's immigration responsibilities.
Now, the city and its legal team feels it's confident it will come out on top in this case, but also feels it's being targeted by the Trump administration. We'll have that part of the story coming up at 5:30. Your reporter live in New Haven, Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Matt, thanks.